Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about 20 most famous hostage negotiations. A hostage is a person who has mainly been captured by someone or some organization and who would be killed or injured if the people of hostage's side do not do what they demand. The hostage happened not only for money but also for international crisis in worldwide. Though the recent days, the government do not negotiate with the snatching terrorist. Here are 20 most famous hostage negotiations. Number 1. Alabama Bunker Hostage Crisis. A 5-year-old young boy named Ethan was taken hostage around 7 days in Dale County, Alabama, in the United States. The young boy was riding to school on a bus. 60-year-old Vietnam War veteran man named Lee Dykes came aboard the bus and stabbed the bus driver and took Ethan to an underground bunker. Lee Dykes failed to negotiate and finally shot by the armed forces, and Ethan got free from the bunker. Number 2. Baghdad Church Attack. 6 suicidal jihadists of the Islamic State of Iraq attacked a Catholic cathedral in Baghdad on October 31, 2010. They entered the church in the evening and began to kill the worshippers. In the attack, 58 people died and about 100 were taken as hostages. Then Iraqi special forces operated in the church to rescue them. Finally, the hostages were rescued, but some were wounded and 41 hostages had died. Number 3. Beslan School Hostage Crisis. Beslan School hostage crisis is well known as the Beslan Massacre. In 2004, on 1st September, a group of Islamic terrorists entered Beslan School in Beslan and took over 1,100 people, including almost 800 children, as hostages. The terrorist groups demanded the end of the school session war. On the third day of the hostages, Russian security forces operated the building with heavy weapons, but they failed to rescue all the hostages. About 380 hostages were killed, including the terrorist. Number 4. Discovery Communications Headquarters Hostage Crisis. On September 1, 2010, a gunman named James Lee took 3 people as hostages at Discovery Channel headquarters. He had 2 pistols and an explosive device with him. Within 4 hours of lockdown and negotiations, James Lee was killed by a shot of the police. Number 5. Eloa Pimentel. Eloa Pimentel crisis not only remarkable for the death of hostage but also remarkable for the mistake of police. On October 13 in 2008, Eloa and her friend Nayara De Silva took as hostages. Though Eloa was able to flee, her friend is still captive by Lidemberg Fernandez Alves, the ex-boyfriend of Eloa. Police suggested to her to go back as hostages again to rescue Nayara De Silva. Though Nayara De Silva got released, she was shot before going action by GET. Number 6. Father Lawrence Martin Genso. Father Lawrence Martin Genso was the Roman Catholic priest who was taken hostages in Lebanon by Islamic radicals for 18 months. He suffered greatly during his prison time. Maximum time of his prison he spent by praying and meditating. Father Lawrence Genso was finally freed on 26 July in 1986. Number 7. Gracia and Martin Branham. Gracia and Martin Branham were the United States missionaries who served in the Philippines since 1986 to the death of Martin Branham in 2002 by an Islamic separatist terrorist organization. They were taken hostages by Islamic separatist terrorist organization. The terrorist organization demanded $1 million for releasing the couple. Although $3 lakh was paid, they could not free them. At last, the Philippine army tried to free them, but in the operation, Martin was killed and Gracia was wounded. Number 8. Iran Hostage Crisis. Iran hostage crisis is one of the longest crises among all hostages all over the world. On 4 November 1979, the Iranian Revolution was taken 52 US diplomats as hostages. The crisis increased more when a group of Islamic students joined with the revolutionists. The US Army tried a rescue operation on April 24, 1980, when a number of negotiations failed to rescue them. After 444 days, they were finally released with the signing of the Algiers Accord on January 19, 1981. Number 9. Lyndhurst High School Shooting. Eric Huston, 20 years old young man, a former student of Lyndhurst High School, was taken 80 hostages about 8 hours before surrendering to the police. But before surrendering, he killed 3 students and a teacher, and 9 students were wounded with sawed-off .22 caliber rifle by him. Number 10. Patty Hearst. Patricia Hearst Shaw was an actress of America but not regular. She was mainly focused for her millionaire grandfather George Hearst and her father William Randolph. On February 4, in 1974, at the age of 19, she was taken as hostages from her Berkeley, California by an urban guerrilla group named Symbionese Liberation Army in brief. Within the 2 months of kidnapping, Hearst announced on an audio that she had joined the SLA. Number 11. Roy Helms. Roy Helms is an American contractor who was taken as hostages from the Baghdad, the capital of Iraq, on November 1 in 2004 by 20 gunmen. On January 25 in 2005, a videotape of Roy published by where he appealed not only to the US government but also appealed to Libyan President Muammar al-Gaddafi to relieve him from the hostages. Then, by the interruption of President Gaddafi, he was finally released on September 7, 2005. Number 12. Sacramento Hostess Crisis. Sacramento hostess crisis is one of the terrifying crises in the history of America. 4 young Vietnamese refugees entered the Good Guys, an electronics store, on April 4 in 1991 with 3 pistols and a shotgun. They took 50 hostages for 8 hours. In the store, they killed 3 hostages and wounded 14. The 4 of them, 3 were shot by police and 1 is captured by authority. Number 13. Terry Anderson. Terry Anderson, a tennis athlete as well as a journalist, was taken as hostages by Lebanon Islamic militants during the Lebanese Civil War after 2,454 days in captivity. Number 14. Terry Waite. Terry Waite was an English humanitarian and author. He was also taken hostages when he went to negotiate with the Islamic Jihad organization on January 20, 1987 for releasing of 4 hostages, including journalist John McCarthy. However, he got released after 1,763 days of his captive life. Number 15. The Alta View Hospital Hostess Crisis. On September 20, 1991, Richard Worthington went to Alta View Hospital to kill Dr. Glade Curtis, who operated tubal ligation on his wife. He entered the hospital's women's center and took 2 nurses, 3 patients, and 2 newborn babies as hostages. A nurse is shot by him in at the time of arriving police. Anyway, he was surrendered and took the prison for 35 years, but he committed suicide in the cell on November 11, 1993. Number 16. The Kislyar-Parvo-Mayanskoye Hostess Crisis. The Kislyar-Parvo-Mayanskoye Hostess Crisis is also known as the terrorist act in Kislyar in January 1996 during the First Chechen War. The Chechen guerrillas entered the Kislyar and took hostages 2,000 to 3,400 native civilians. But by attacking off Russian military, they escaped from the town with 100 hostages. Number 17. The Lebanon Hostess Crisis. The Lebanon hostage crisis happened in 1982 to 1992 during the Civil War of Lebanon. All but 104 foreign were taken as hostages by Hezbollah organization. The hostages were maximum in American and European, but another 21 national were present there. Number 18. The Ma'alot Massacre. The Ma'alot massacre is one of the deadliest hostages over the world. A Palestinian group attacked a school in Israel and took 115 Israeli people as hostages in May 1974. They demanded the release of 23 Palestinian militants who were captive in Israel prison. At last, failing to negotiate, Golani Brigade attacked the building where hostages were captive, and hostage taker also attacked and killed 28 hostages, including 22 were children. Number 19. The Munich Olympic Tragedy. The Munich Olympic tragedy is well known as the Munich Massacre. The Munich Massacre took place in 1972 during the Summer Olympics in Munich in Germany. The Palestinian group 8-member was taken 11 Israeli athletes as hostages. They demanded the release of about 234 prisoners who were captive in the Israeli prison. But failing the negotiations, they killed all the athletes. And the Palestinian group also killed by Operation Wrath of God, operated by Israel government. And number 20. West Nickel Mines hostage taking. A gunman named Charles Carl Robert Ford took hostages an Amish school in Bard Township, Pennsylvania, in the United States with a shotgun, rifle, and handgun on October 2 in 2006. He shot 8 who were 6 to 13 years old young girls. 5 girls were dead among them. At last, the perpetrator, Charles Carl Robert Ford, committed suicide.